Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
I'm really excited because we have some awesome stuff coming up that I really want to let our listeners know about in case they want to join us. So, the first event we're going to take part in is one that is near and dear to Meaghan and I, because y'all know we love mental health. Our friends at Dallas Hope Charities are going to be hosting um, LGBTQIA plus suicide prevention vigil for remembrance and hope, and that is on September 10th. And Meaghan, I was so honored because they also asked if I would MC the event. They've got some really great speakers lined up, some advocates lined up, just resources, people who want to just share stories or words of wisdom or support. And so I was just really honored that they asked me to help facilitate part of the evening for us. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's September 10th. So that is World Suicide Prevention Day. It is at Union Coffee, which is on Cedar Springs in Dallas. It's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and it should be a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I think it will be just a great evening to honor and
hmm
remember anyone who has been impacted
Yeah, absolutely.
by suicide.
Yeah, and if
Mhm.
anyone has any free time to go that night, I think it's it's moving, and it's also really important to recognize like the importance of suicide prevention. And maybe it's something that maybe you've experienced personally, or maybe you've heard things but just want some more resources. Please come
Mhm.
down. It's a short event. It's going to be a casual, it's a community event, and which that we know we're pretty familiar with the organizations hosting are very welcoming, and
Mhm.
more than happy to provide resources or some guidance on things that maybe you may have questions about. So just remember, we're there. Obviously, once we
Mhm.
get, September is, Suicide Prevention Month, and we just want to make sure that we're out there, and just know that there are people looking out for you too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Super excited for that. And
Yeah.
then looking further, which today super excited about, we're inviting our friends from the Dreyson to talk about their business and the event happening on October 4th in South Lake for Pride Kelso. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we've got that coming up. I'm super excited.
Mhm. Yeah, we're really excited to be a part of that event, and I'm really excited that April and Shaina are going to be our guests for today's episode, so we can learn more about their business and just this event overall. So, welcome to our new friends, April and Shaina. We're so excited to have them join us and chat with them a little bit. For anyone who doesn't know who you guys are, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yes. We Where to start? We are married to each other.
What?
I know. Both grew up in Keller, still live in Keller. Dana moved away for college and a little bit after that. But we own a business together as well. It's called the Dreyson, and we specialize in strategically curating corporate events and doing private bartending services, really trying to elevate the experience at any type of event that we can get into. And it's called the Dreyson because we actually made up our last name when we got married,
Oh, how fun.
and which took a lot of work, but it means a lot
Mhm.
to us. And it was just like the beginning of this journey that we knew would be just all sorts of exciting adventures together.
hmm
Meaghan and I love a good event.
Every
Yes.
Um,
good event.
so what inspired you guys to create this brand, this business? What brought it about?
Yes, when we kind of how that happened was I got laid off in maybe mid 2023 from my corporate sales job. And when I got laid off, April was still working hers, and she was like, "Hey, we've had this idea just to own a business together." And that's initially where things came from. We wanted to be entrepreneurs and wanted to be our own bosses, and that.
Mhm.
And so, she was like, see if you can get the events business started and get it off the ground. And then maybe I will be able to quit my corporate job in a few months. We'll see. And we had come across our business coach, Sarah Murphy. We came across kind of on social media, and we had seen this idea of a mobile bar. And so that was super appealing to us and wanted to add in, more of the events aspect and make it our own. And so, we did event coordinating, we added in sponsorship coordination later on down the road for nonprofits. And then obviously the private bartending is a lot of what we do, but we also do DJ entertainment and all of that good stuff. So full event curation. But yeah, so, since we live in Keller, we thought that it was important to be a part of that community. And so joined the Keller Chamber, and I just networked at every event, and I attended every event
Mhm.
because my goal was to obviously get my wife to be able to be working with me because that was.
Mhm.
And so a few months later, she was able to quit her corporate job since our business was blowing up and it was too much for me to handle on my own. And then we're here today. So
And she was having a lot of fun because she was just doing dance all the time, and I was working
Right.
a corporate job. Our dream is to own a venue, so that's
Mm.
a lot of capital
Mhm.
that we don't have sitting around.
Right, who does?
Millions of dollars. The mobile bar idea when it came about was something that we could start with very little capital and make, especially with the help of our business coach,
Mhm.
just make it successful earlier on. And, you know, our business coach is really, really great and strategic and empowering when it comes to ROI and charging what you're worth. Then Shaina spent the first 3 months before ever really marketing our business, just diving into that coaching aspect of things because it's
Mhm.
important to us to do it right. We're very
Mhm.
particular.
Yeah.
I think both of us, the biggest problem that we had in corporate sales is that we were playing by somebody else's rules, and therefore
Mhm.
our integrity didn't really matter to who we were working for. And
Mhm.
integrity is really important to us. And delivering on an exceptional experience, knowing how much an experience means to people and can make a difference in
Mhm.
people's lives was very, very important to us. So we made sure to put the time in to do it right before starting to go
Mhm.
out there and market.
No, I love that. That resonates a little bit with I don't know, Megan, if you were feeling this, but I feel like
Mhm.
it resonates a little bit with how we started even, because Megan and I probably met for hashing out what we wanted to do for probably almost a year
Mhm.
before we finally settled on a podcast. But like we were meeting at least once a week for at least a solid hour, like hashing out what do we want to do with this idea? Where is it going to go? What do we need? And then, of course, once we settled on a podcast, we were like, no, we could have launched this a lot sooner if we had just said we're a podcast because it just everything moves so fast once because we already had the pieces. We already knew what we were going to talk about. We already knew what the show was. We just had to figure out how to go about it. So that really resonates with me of taking the time to kind of get to know what you guys wanted and make sure that it wasn't just going to be like a half-assed event that you guys have.
Yeah. And that's what I heard because you were like talking about like the integrity. Because a lot of times we work in these corporate like environments and you're like, who's this person I'm working for making these decisions? And
Mhm.
I've been put into spots where I'm just like, I don't like what I'm doing, like to these
Mhm.
people, or like in like, or the way we're doing business, right? In the way that we're doing it. So I really loved how you were like, you took the time to like really say, all right, what is this reflection of us, right? And like, and it's important. And you took the time to really kind of explore that. So I am curious, like, how would you say that like y'all's queer identity like influenced your decision making and like how the course of how you do business or like, how you built it up?
Think the first way that it influenced us was just in deciding how we were going to show up in the world of networking.
Mhm.
Shayna was the one networking and like really networking, like 15 to 20 networking events a week. She was
Yeah,
crazy
that's a
out
lot.
there.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
Which
a
is why our
work.
business got off the ground like it did. We're in Keller, we live in Keller, we grew up in Keller, we were never really out in Keller growing up. And so it was like we obviously own this business together. We have the same last name, and we really like being around each other. So it's not like go out networking and pretend to just be
Wait, what? You like being around each other? My God.
yeah. So we couldn't be like pretend to be roommates. And Shane was like, I think I'm just gonna go out there and say the truth. And my wife and I own this business. This is what it is, and it worked really, really well. Actually, people value authenticity. I think that we saw different sides of how people took that in. There were moments of us just being, the cute little lesbians that showed up to this thing. There were definitely moments of not being taken seriously. But as time went on, I think our background and really how much we put into our business and our expertise in many different areas allowed people to shift their perspective of us and of the gay community. I mean, I don't know that we made a huge swing in their opinion of the gay community, but I know that we have made at least a dent in that, like removing that negative connotation of who LGBT people are.
Yeah, and I think if anything, making more diverse individuals feel comfortable in this kind of environment and in this conservative environment. And I think that we've seen a change in just, the audience that shows up at these networking events, the people that are members of this chamber. And so I think that that's something that's pretty cool. But I mean, honestly, when I went into these networking events, I didn't care if somebody liked me or not. And
Nice.
I spent a lot of my life living in this town when I was younger and closeted and cared what everyone thought in high school. And so I was just over that. And I think another part of me mentioning my wife and I own this business is that, April was sacrificing at the beginning of our business, working a corporate job still so that we could do something like this. And so it was important to me for her to get credit, and I felt like she deserved credit for obviously being able to do that. And then she worked events with me on the weekends and whenever she could too. So that was super important to give my wife the credit that she deserved. So
I love it. I know.
Aw.
I wish I could just look. Oh.
Yeah, a little heart.
I know. That's amazing. I mean, but it is truly beautiful because, okay, it's like two-sided. There's so many marriages out there, right, that are unhappy that they can't create a partnership and a lasting, like, business at that, right? Like, you're meshing two very complex things together. And so, like, when to hear that you guys have almost opened the floor to invite others like yourselves that are like, hey, y'all were brave. You can be brave with us and take the leap. And not only that, as a married couple, I mean, I don't know if I could own a business with my spouse, but we might be too different. But no, so that's really cool. I love that. I love that.
Well, and so in the short amount of time that we've kind of gotten to know you guys a little bit more so just in the online presence, but I can tell that you guys are like fierce networkers and there's an event where people are going to be and you're like, yes, we will show up and introduce ourselves and meet you. Cause I can tell that you guys have a wide net of people who support you, who support your business. And I think that that matters in any community, but perhaps even I'm not from Keller, but perhaps in a community like Keller where there might be some minds and hearts that need to be shifted. It's important to have that strong network of support to show up when you need them.
Yes.
So, have you guys faced any resistance or pushback? I would think it might help a little bit that you don't have kind of your own venue, but just being that queer-owned LGBTQ plus business in Texas, in Keller, have you navigated any of that?
But we're more than happy to talk about this because it's important to bring light to. I think that there are very few and only like one major moment now. I know we're going to talk about us doing a Pride festival here. A whole different conversation after we announced Pride. This right now is just like pre-Pride announcement. And we were just the Dreyson. We're very well known in this community and we're very active in this community and mostly positive support. I think that there were a lot of like little microaggressions that people still haven't realized that they put towards us. There's only one blatant, like terrible anti-gay thing. And it wasn't directed straight at us, but it was somebody that we had done business with that posted something pretty terrible on Facebook about the gay community. And so other than that, I mean, for the most part, Keller's like a real big small town And we are very active on Facebook too, because we are experts in marketing and sales. Our faces are recognizable, and people would come up to us and say, "Oh my God, I follow you guys." And, it was a very positive interaction pretty much 100% of the time.
Good.
Some people being standoffish in a corner at networking events or something, but nothing that we felt like we were being judged or anything when we were going out.
Well, that's, honestly, like, that's good because, well, it's good to hear because we have heard from other businesses that we've interviewed. It seems that, like, when we come out in force and we show support for one another, they're a little less inclined to, like, do it to your face, even though, like, what they did is harmful for you and your business, it seems that there is some power of, like, hey, we're here and a lot of people support us. And, like, we're not going anywhere. So, um,
And I think too, I want to say, I think we both know that it is harder for other people within the community. And I think that there are several reasons for why we were embraced more than other LGBT businesses or couples. I think one is that, Shaina just showed up. She was like, "Yep, F y'all, this is who we are." Like, there was a confidence there. That confidence comes from, we've both had pretty rough lives, but the confidence still comes from work we've done to be able to present ourselves in the world a certain way.
Right.
Having the privileges of having seen a lot of success individually, there's a lot that goes into us being able to show up in a room that way. But showing up in a room that way goes a long way. And people, if you just like own who you are, there's probably other privileges that we have that allowed us to be accepted.
I saw you post, I don't know, a while back on Facebook, I think. And I really like how you worded it. And we've actually had some guests that shared similar notions as business owners is that, your queer experience is different than other people's queer experiences, but you are able to use your platform sometimes to just provide education. And even when we face that resistance or pushback, we can still try to find opportunities to shed light on things that people may not know as much about, including ourselves. So you guys are organizing
Yes,
Pride Kelso.
we are.
So tell us what motivated you to bring the Pride event to your specific community.
Yeah, I think, just kind of going back to growing up here and being closeted, and just not feeling like there was a space for me in this town to be able to feel like I could come out and be myself. And so I always think that maybe if something like this was held in the town way back when I went to school here, maybe I could have came out sooner. Maybe it would have allowed me that space, or maybe I would have felt comfortable. And if we can do that for just one person, and I know that we've already changed lives just with announcing the event. So I can't imagine what the event's going to do the day of and, moving forward as we want it to be a yearly festival. But that's kind of, my personal relation to it and where it hits home for us. And so we were like, it's very needed just with the climate right now too. So I think that if we can have more prides in more places, but this one being in, on the border of Keller and Southlake, is going to be something that will open doors for other communities, that maybe they can see one day their town having a pride that they never thought would support the community in that way. And so it's so important for us to do this the right way because it's a true representation of our community, but also of what hopefully can be seen elsewhere.
I love that.
Me too. I'm so excited for it, honestly. Um, you know, I think y'all said you were partnering with all sorts of like different businesses, and it sounds like it's going to be huge. What are the details? When is this going to happen?
Yeah, tell us about the event.
It is October 1st of 2025 is the first year. We absolutely plan for this to be an annual event.
Yeah.
It's at St. Martin in the Fields Episcopal Church. And the reason, like, this is something that was obviously like in the back of our minds as a dream to ever be able to do this, but not anything that we thought was realistic to accomplish in years. Because normally for something like this, you've got to get city property.
Right.
And, that's just way too much pushback that we didn't want to deal with. So when St. Martin's did offer up their 13 acres of land for us, we ran with it. I also looked at him like, you don't know what you just offered us because we're not going to be like, oh yeah, maybe. We're like, Yeah, we're going to make this happen.
Absolutely.
And all 13
Sign us
acres.
up.
So, St. Martin in the Fields, it's right off Pearson at the border of Keller and Southlake. And it's from 2 to 4. It's a festival. So we have live music. We've got a B-52's cover band as part of that live music.
Fun.
We will have a drag show. And that will end the festival. So that'll be the last thing that happens. So if anybody does want to leave, they can. But we have been very intentional about communication with the drag queens. It's going to be very, like, truly family friendly. And we'll also have workshops going on throughout 13 acres with, the information getting out to everybody. So if they want to go and do something else while the drag show is going on, they'll have plenty of options. There's yoga workshops, there's a therapeutic dance workshop, some Lego building workshops, all sorts.
Awesome.
Maddie does like some good Legos.
Well, that's exciting. And yes, you guys, we will be there. We announced it earlier, but we jumped at the opportunity to join in this event. We're excited to be there. We'll have our table. We'll have some swag. We might have some opportunities for you to participate in some interviews that will go on our Patreon account. So
Yes,
make
I
sure.
tried to convince them to do a live podcast.
Our goal, we will have coffee. We're going to bring the coffee energy. We're going to bring the podcast
Mhm.
energy. So we're super excited for Pride Kelso. And honestly, I'm starting to kind of feel like what is that called when you meet your star, like the stars, and you kind of get star shy? Because I've never met, y'all are organizing a Pride event. Like, that's huge. We've met, people who participated in Pride. We've met businesses and, all these different things. But to meet y'all and seeing that y'all are putting on a full on community event, that's huge. And so I'm honored. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And it's your first one. I'm so
Yes.
I know, yeah. And it just every time I see stuff posted, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like huge. You told us a little bit about just overall what is going to be happening at the event, but what are you guys maybe most excited about for the Pride event?
You should ask
They're
Shaina
like
right now
everything.
because I'm exhausted from everything from the Pride event right now. So very excited about it still, just exhausted. What are you most excited about?
I mean, I think I'm just excited to see our community come together, and see it like come to fruition the day of and see what we've been able to accomplish, with everyone's help. I think that that's what I'm most excited to see, and we're going to have a great speaker there. So I'm excited to hear Liz Dyer. She's the founder of Real Mama Bears. And so if you have ever seen Schitt's Creek, that very last episode, the farewell episode where they read the letter to the cast and they're all bawling. That's actually from their organization. So she's going to be speaking that day, and I haven't gotten a chance to hear her speak. So I think that that's what I'm most excited about as far as just performance wise and what we have on the schedule. But yeah, I think just, seeing it come to light the day of will be something that I can't even imagine, and we'll probably get pretty emotional over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Straight
think
magic.
actually I'm also excited about that because I think that there are a lot of people in attendance that feel like they're allies and they only know what they know right now and they're doing the best that they know right now. But I think there's a large part of the conversation that they haven't had yet about what it means to be an ally. And,
Right.
well, I love my kid despite who he is, or like, it shouldn't be despite who he is. And Liz Dyer started her organization because her son came out as gay, and the original, I'm going to botch like the story a little bit, but her original reaction, I think, was negative and tied back to her church and what her church had taught her about being gay being a sin, and then really dove into some research, I think, because her son stopped talking to her. But now we've gone to some of the Real Mama Bears meetings and get-togethers, and, there are so many moms in that group that did the same thing, and they had an initial negative reaction because of the church that they were in, and how they were treated. And that's very personal to me because I wish my mom would hear it. Maybe she'll protest Pride that day, and then she'll overhear it because we're gonna.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be there standing with my dad.
Yeah.
We can make it a family affair.
It's a family you said it was a family event, so well, no, and I was just thinking too, what an amazing sort of speaker selection that you guys found with
Mhm.
kind of just a full circle moment of even her community kind of initially having some maybe negative feelings about things due to, y'all guessed it, religious trauma, something we all tend to have in common. And you are hosting this event at a church. And
Mhm.
so they're going to also get to kind of see how a faith community can also embrace things that maybe they don't 100% know everything about, but they're willing to say everyone is welcome here. So, what a
Yeah.
great full circle moment.
Yeah.
It is. And I think every time I see Reverend Allen of St.
Mhm.
Martin's, I tell him he's healed my religious trauma even more because he just initially he did a little bit by offering to sponsor Badge of Pride, which is an organization that we were doing sponsorship
Mhm.
coordination for, and then offering this land for Pride, and then showing up for things that I would have never thought he'd shown up for, like our
Mhm.
photo session and wrapping rainbow flags around him.
I think it's awesome. And there are so many people um you know, mixed with everything going on in our current climate, connected to faith and religious beliefs. Even before all of that, people were experiencing, especially in the queer community, lots of trauma connected to either their own personal beliefs, right? And they experience maybe some internal homophobia or transphobia that they had to also work through, but then also just what the faith community maybe has presented. And so I think it hopefully will also be a healing event for a lot of people in attendance.
Yes, I think we're both very confident that it
Mhm.
will be.
Yeah, I think just seeing the support, especially, in these cities that people just never thought was here, or just even our community
Mhm.
showing up and being present and attending and kind of coming out in that way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think just the support will just be unreal to see that day from the attendance and how many people we're going to be expecting. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people flying in from out of the state that moved away from here because it was too bad for them.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they have reached out and said how much this means to them, and they are flying back in.
Oh, that's
That's amazing.
awesome.
A
Wow.
lot of them stepping foot back in Texas for the first time since.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure. Wow, that
So
is a real
to
victory moment.
are coming back for this event. I was gonna ask, because I don't think we covered this. Do people have to register to attend Pride Kelso?
they do have to register, but there will be QR codes available in the parking lots for them to be able to just scan it and register when they get there. They don't need to stress over registering ahead of time.
It's free, correct?
Yes, it is a free event.
Okay.
We are requiring registration to help us better plan for next year, but also for safety reasons, so that if there is any kind of conflict with somebody that's coming into the event, it's easy to identify that and get them escorted out.
Lovingly escort them
Yes,
away.
yeah, and we
yes.
do
Mhm.
have the option for VIP tickets, which we're only going to sell a select number of those. So we're going to
Mhm.
have a special VIP tent. The drag queens are going to do meet and greets in there. And then we're obviously going to have some drinks served. And it'll include like some light bites, charcuterie, that kind of stuff with your ticket purchase for that.
Yum.
Awesome. So to kind of wrap things up, what advice would you give to maybe other queer people looking to start something bold in their communities?
I've thought about this recently, and I think my answer has changed over months. I think you do you, and whatever feels right to you, do. I think for us, it really, really helped to be a part of the community without it being about pride
Mhm.
and make that statement just about who we are as queer people that has nothing to do with pride before the bold move of pride. And I think that
Mhm.
that could be like to community what makes the difference.
Mhm. Mhm.
I strongly believe this would not be going over as well as it is had we just come in, "Hey, y'all don't
Mhm.
know us. We're bringing rainbows."
Mm,
I didn't
yeah.
mean
No,
to
I no, I love that because I think you're so right, right? You had to kind of build your brand, build your reputation, into this sort of event brand company that people could trust, that people they know you, they're comfortable with you, they know that you're not trying to pull one over on them, and then you can ease into this Pride event, and then it's just kind of like, this is just one of the many things that we do.
Yes.
This isn't the only event that we do, but it's here to stay, so like it.
Yes. And there's definitely been a huge number of people that we networked with all the time. Most of the people that are a part of Pride, we didn't know until Pride, but they knew of us because we were so involved in the community and, in different ways that had nothing to do, we weren't political in the community. We weren't raising our voices about anything. It was just, we own a business. This is who we are. We're married. We had a couple weddings that they came to. Um, just and now, hey, we got this great opportunity. And it was a transition. Also working with other nonprofits, which wasn't just, I mean, there was no intention about having Pride be a thing whenever we started working with them. But I think it helped us in many ways when it opened our minds to so many things that even as LGBT members of the community, we just weren't aware of because we had been in a bubble for so long. So, allowed us to see certain different aspects and then see how these nonprofits within the LGBT community were working. So then once Pride came about, we had so much more knowledge and had been, without knowing it, kind of dripping these hints about we're going to be a little louder in a minute. We didn't know we were going to be, but I think that it was kind of a transition that we evolved into Pride, so it wasn't as shocking when we posted about it. And it really has. There's definitely negativity, but overwhelming positive response to this, and so many people in this community thanking us. Which I know I think that we can own that this is pretty badass that we're doing this, and it is a lot of work on our end, but we wouldn't stay motivated to keep doing it if there weren't so many people reaching out to us and supporting us and telling us what this means to us and volunteering and sponsoring and all of those things. So
I think too, even if you're scared, right? You're scared to start a business and you have, adversity with being a part of the LGBTQ community working against you. I think you don't know until you try. And so I think it's just so important to show up and just try. And if you don't like it, no one's forcing you to be there. You know what I mean? But you're not going to know until you show up. And then you never know who you might encourage and give confidence to come over and they might introduce themselves and be like, "Hey, I'm also a part of the community. I'm family." And so we've had that happen in multiple instances to where we made people feel comfortable just because we said, my wife and I own this business. People would come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I have a partner too, but I haven't seen anyone out here that is part of the community." So they just were quiet about it and they weren't, didn't let people know and they were ashamed of that part of themselves. And so I think you don't know until you try and it's scary, but I think do it anyways.
yeah, and that reminded me, we think it's important to be in all kinds of rooms as someone in the LGBT community because people have to see us. There's a Harvey Milk quote that I can't think of right now that Badge of Pride uses in their exhibit, but people are going to keep having their assumptions about us if they don't ever get exposed to us, especially as professionals in this world. But so we think, all chambers are open to LGBT communities, but the North Texas LGBT Chamber, when we were at their awards luncheon this year, announced something really, really cool. So even if you don't own a business, but you want to kind of get plugged in and learn more, you're exposed to so many different things when you're in a specific demographic chamber. And they recently opened up an individual membership. So even if you just work for a corporation, and a lot of times a corporation will cover your membership, but it's way cheaper than a business membership. And it just gives you access to go to all the same networking events and just get plugged into other people in your community and successful people in your community so that you can see that inspiration. Because I think a lot of us have biases even against the LGBT community because
Absolutely.
a lot of people have been
Bias is
their whole lives.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been told their whole lives you're not going to be successful because you're gay. So just to
Mhm.
see the number of successful people and the amazing things they've accomplished and really great large organizations that are part of this chamber too. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's a huge difference for us and opened our eyes to things that we would have never known staying in the Keller and Colleyville chambers, even though we like those chambers and I'm on the board for the Keller chamber, but it's just different.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a different networking opportunity, it's a different group of people, so absolutely, it can open different kinds of doors, avenues, connections, all of it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Wow. Super
I
cool.
love
Good to know.
that. Yes.
Before we let you go, because we have to know, what is
Mhm.
your preferred coffee drink or drink of beverage of choice to give you a pick me up?
If you're not a coffee
If you're not
drinker.
a coffee drinker, no judgment made, but maybe a
Well,
little.
I think we can both be pretty basic white girls and like pumpkin spice cold brew is good. But if I didn't have to, if I like never cared about my weight or my heart or cholesterol or anything, caramel macchiato is definitely my favorite.
Nom. Yep, classic.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, mine's definitely the pumpkin spice nitro cold brew. Because when that comes
Mm.
around, I don't know, there's just something about it and it's seasonal. So I know I'm not supposed to like Starbucks.
It's just something by the way the earth tilts, the change in the pressure of air, and that pumpkin spice latte just hits. I
Mhm.
mean,
It
I'm not
does.
gonna lie. With a little bit of
Megan,
cream on the
we'll
top.
have to see if we can find for the Pride event, we'll have to see if we can find more fall-like
Oh yeah.
flavors.
Flaw.
Oh, yeah. The other one I was gonna say, though, is I do love a good espresso martini, so that's, like, a good mix
Mhm.
with, coffee and
That's true.
Yeah.
alcohol.
Mm,
Heck yeah.
yeah. My wife likes a good espresso martini for sure. When we go out and she's feeling fancy.
But needs a hit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
Well,
okay.
thank you guys for joining us. We had so much fun getting to know you guys a little bit more, and we are really excited to meet you in person and participate in the first annual Pride Kelso event. But thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you. We'll see you at Pride.
All right.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
Bye.
Well, Megan, that was my last sip of coffee.
That is sad. Me too.
But it was such a fun chat. I
Yeah.
loved getting to know April and Shaina a little bit more. You know,
And
we met them because of Pride Kelso and we're interested in how we could be a part of it. And I think we've started to develop a little friendship with them. So
oh,
I was so excited to get to know them more and where their hearts are, where their passions are. It was awesome. So thank you guys for joining us. Be sure that you are checking out the episodes every time we drop a new episode every other Wednesday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And then, of course, follow us on social media.
you can catch us on social media on LinkedIn. Follow us on our either professional pages. And we also have a podcast page where you can catch all the updates. We have our Instagram. Be sure to share our profiles and like our posts. We love a good interaction. And Patreon. Join our coffee break crew for exclusives and honestly, just to show the love and support
Mhm.
for your
Mhm.
local podcast.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us for another great episode of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie,
And I'm Megan.
and
Cheers,
cheers, queer.
queer.